Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Udwar Jigero, and this is Political Headache. We are here with Otieno. We're going to be talking about this noise that is always going on about, the presidential term. I don't know whether Ruto is the one that wants this thing or somebody else that wants this thing. Do you think, Otieno, that Ruto is the one that wants this thing?
It could be Ruto wants it, or it could be anybody else. But also it could be the delusional factor that is within Senator Cherargei's head.
Yes.
Cherargei is the senator for Nandi County, who has persistently promoted the idea of an extended term of President Ruto, talking about a 7-year term. So it could be him, or it could be the president. Who knows?
There is a time that you told me that there are people that are sitting next to people of power.
Yeah.
They can actually go and do stupid things.
Yes.
Hoping that when they score,
yes,
they come back to the man and say, this is what this is the catch.
Exactly. So we have a lot of stupid people around people in power because there's a level of power that when you reach, then you're now managed. You're now not yourself. Even your diary is managed. Then so people want to gain favor with you. So they tend to do a lot of things so that they come and claim. For example, somebody can be murdered who was your ally, or somebody who was your critique, and then they come and take the credit that, you know what, this fellow who was talking bad about you on social media is gone. And you're like, who told you to kill him? This was just an innocent person. No, this person was disturbing us. We had to do away with him, mzee. Hiyo imeisha. So this is so this is called the concept of saints and sinners around power. So saints around power are those ones who must remain clean. The sanctum of power. Here we talk about the president, we talk about the deputy president, we talk about attorney general, saints, the cabinet secretaries. Then we have the sinners. Come here, go there.
Come here, go there.
Yeah, come here, go there. They're around power. They don't have an official profile.
I know I come here, go there.
You know, come here, go there.
And he was very happy with it.
Yes.
Why was he so happy? Did he understand the magnitude of that is a sinner?
Which one is this? Maybe you give me a name.
Yes, he's in the presidential. He's a come here, go there. He used to be very happy when he was asked, what are you doing in the government? And he was saying, Mimi, I go there, I come. I'm told, go there, come here.
That's Dennis Itumbi. Don't be afraid. This is a democracy.
Yes.
Even if you be murdered, it will just be once.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So come here, go there. Like Dennis Itumbi is a come here, go there. And many more who they don't have an official profile by the president, but they have access to power. And you know, power is about access and nothing else. They can do a lot of things that are silly, but also they could be facilitating a lot of good for the president. They're the ones who can tell the president the truth without the fear of losing, because there's nothing to lose anyway. They're already next to the president, and they do what I call activities, or they're the emissaries of the president. They do the classified things that the normal people cannot do, that the official people cannot do. They're the ones who you will never find. You can never trace even financial flows, where it is going. Yeah. But you find that they handle a lot of things because they work with the credibility and the blessing of the president.
It was very interesting that this gentleman, Dennis Itumbi, or the impeached former deputy president, was saying that Ruto used to be in the room. Yes. He would welcome him, that they have a problem, they have a discussion. Yeah. And once Ruto is pissed off about the discussion and the direction that he's taking, he will go to his phone and tell Itumbi,
come get me out of this place. So these people are very powerful, and they can do a lot of things, including trying to sustain themselves beyond the term limits. Of course, Kenya is a democracy limited by the law in terms of operation. Power must be checked. If power goes unchecked, then we have some bad behavior. And I suspect this clamor for extension of power is a Kalenjin thing. Especially some specific people. This could sound very bad, not in very good taste, but also it could be a thing of the young leaders who get to power. I'd rather we have older people leading the nation than these younger people leading the nation, because it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that younger people coming to power tend to want to stick beyond their term limit. Even Uhuru tried to sneak back into government through the BBI, because he even created almost 20 new constituencies in Kikuyu land, and only 2 in Nyanza, which was very telling that he was then going to be elected by a parliamentary system as a prime minister, being the head of government, and the president remaining as the head of state. In this form, they're thinking of Raila. And you found there are people who were, quote-unquote, very bright. And in that case, we had somebody called Nancy, who was the political operative of President Kenyatta, who I believe was at the center of crafting the BBI bill, that even when they went to court and the Court of Appeal, you saw what they said, that this was not a bill, or this was not a popular initiative. This was an executive initiative, which then does not have a constituent assembly, and then interferes with the basic structure of the constitution, and it cannot move anywhere. So yes, to answer that question, there are people around the president, a lot of people around the president, who are very overzealous, and who have let me tell you, power is so interesting that some people have the feel of infinity, that the presidency will not end, or it should not end, and in the instance that they can push it a little bit, they will always try to push it, and when they get away, they will go with it. For example, look at Uganda, our neighbor here. You know, Uganda is not a democracy, it's an autocracy. Okay? I don't always want to call it a dictatorship, because they have elections of the people, the parliamentarians, etc. Those ones go for election and nomination, and they're even defeated. But at the presidency, no. It's autocracy. Autocracy is where an individual intentionally decapitates or decapacitates, if there's a term like that, the institutions that check the executive, and then remains as the only power in the country. America is going that direction right now. Uganda is one of the autocracies, and Kenya was almost going that direction, and I think along the way Ruto has sensed that he must not be an autocrat. He must continuously check himself, even if they don't check him, because remember, up to just last week, Jagero, Parliament was under the stronghold of President Ruto, and I've told you that the judiciary is most likely having something called judicial diplomacy with the executive, where the lobbying goes on in private, and you see even the ODPP withdrawing some high-profile cases, and that's what I call weaponization of the criminal justice system, where now President Ruto is saying we're going to arrest A, B, C, D, or I'm going to now establish an anti-corruption council. We are going to establish a victim compensation council. It's autocracy, and once the ministers of the king find that there is an opportunity, or the king is leaning towards autocracy, then they take the heat, because it's jostling around the president, and the president wants people who deliver results, and the results, one of the results that maybe he needs, and because power is sweet, and maybe it's uncertain, or maybe they're uncertain that the election could differ, or the election could chase them out of power, they want to extend it. But the interesting bit that the Constitution under Article 246 has placed is that, I think 246 or 243, thereabout, has placed is that for us to go that direction, then we must proceed to a referendum. And referendum must go through the county assemblies first. The bill must go through the county assemblies, and then come back to the National Assembly. Then we agree on IBC, etc. Then we move to a referenda. I don't know if the president is willing to go that direction, because the people should not be afraid. This bill must come to the people anyway.
So the current two-term 5-year limit is direct product of country's turbulent journey, right?
Yeah.
From a single-party state to a multi-party state, multi-party democracy. Kenya's post-independence era was characterized by powerful executive, and for many years, a single-party political system under the rule of President Daniel Arap Moi. The clamor for constitutional reform and the reintroduction of multi-party politics in the early 90s was a direct challenge to this concentrated power. This political movement culminated in the 1992 constitutional amendment, which was officially repealed the section of the constitution that established a single party state. That is section 10, still. And it introduced a 2-term limit for the presidency. However, the implementation of this reform was not without controversy. President Moi, while overseeing the charge, controversially exempted himself from the retroactive application of these new limits. This political maneuver allowed him to run for 4 and win 2 additional terms. A real-world example of a leader manipulating constitutional reforms to retain power. So what did he do then? He accepted that it's going to be 2 limits, but not for me.
Yes. He accepted that there's going to be 2 limits, then he pushed it to the time that he was going to exit. Because remember, when he accepted, it started with repeal of Section 2A, and then at that moment, remember President Moi left power in 2002. So between 1992 and 1997 was his first term, quote unquote. His second term was between 1997 and 2002. Then the gentleman left.
But then the 2010 constitution, the presidential term limit was reaffirmed. and solidified in the landmark 2010 Constitution, a document born out of profound national trauma. What is the trauma that we're talking about here?
The clamor for a new constitution was marked by a lot of bloodstains, deaths, etc. We had the clamor by the Young Turks, Wakina Orengo, Paul Muite, Gitobu Imanyara, Raila Odinga, and the club, who were traumatized. We had Timothy Njoya, Bishop Timothy Njoya, or Pastor Timothy Njoya.
Was bloodied on the streets.
We had the Kamukunji meetings, which were very bloody. In fact, there were so many tortures along the route. And also we had people like Koigi Wamwere, who felt the pain of the clamor of the new constitution. I remember when I was very young, when we were going to Kisumu, Moi Stadium Kisumu, and we were listening to P.C. Raburu stand to speak. Whenever we could stand to speak, us who sat on the other stand, we would shout him down. We didn't know even what we were shouting. We would just shout him down, Katiba! Katiba! And it will be tear gas, etc. And people would run helter-skelter.
So the provincial commissioners were allowed to give speeches?
Yes, back then they used to give speeches. And they were very powerful.
On behalf of Moi?
Yes, they were very, very powerful people. You know?
I hear they used to say the powerful.
Yes.
PC.
The powerful PCs.
Oyugi.
Hezekiah Oyugi Ogango.
He's coming from where?
Rongo.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Where did he meet Moi?
I think he met Moi in the balance of power when he was serving as a PC. Because I think then is when Moi took him from the PC to make him the interior PS, a very powerful position, which again was his downfall. Yeah. So just to correct something, okay. I said there before that was Article 246. No, it is between Article 255 and Article 257 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is what set out the rule on referendums, and it decides on what can be what you can go to referendum about. Article 255.
I want us to discuss the issue of referendum later.
Okay, sawa, that's fine.
Yeah, so that we go through it properly, because I'm thinking the audience needs to know, can we have a presidential term limit extended?
Yes, we can.
If so, how do we go about extending it?
That is powerful.
So the debate over presidential tenure in Kenya did not end with the 2010 Constitution. In a contemporary political case study, a recent movement has sought to extend the presidential term to 7 years, sparking a new round of debate about the country's constitutional future. Sindio, the recent push for a 7-year presidential term has been spearheaded by Senator Samson Cherargei of the ruling United Democratic Alliance Party. His proposal, which also sought to extend the terms of other elected officials.
Yes.
He's not just seeking. I think the reason why he's trying to extend everyone else's is so that they can say, okay, we can get 2 more.
Yeah. Everybody, win-win. Yeah.
Not just the president.
Yeah, everybody gets.
Everybody win. Including members of parliament and governors, was formalized in the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2024. Cherargei's rationale for the 7-year term is multifaceted. He argues that the current 5-year mandate is insufficient for a president to effectively run a government and deliver his manifesto. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree. Cherargei is bereft of ideas. Is inept. It acts intellectual. Let's just
do ideas.
Let me hit Cherargei properly, because some sense needs to be pumped into his head.
Okay.
Cherargei must stop indicating, or must stop taking us for a ride. Kenyans are of the intellectual capacity and the wherewithal to decide to develop their country. Kibaki did it within 5 years, and another 5 years. He performed very well. America does it within 4 years. If you look at France, if you look at Germany, if you look at Britain, the United Kingdom, which has had over 4 prime ministers in a period of 5 years, we don't need a president to have a long time in office for him to think.
Yeah.
We need a president to implement. Cherargei must stop disturbing us.
According to his reasoning, a longer term would provide a president with an ample opportunity.
Does he reason?
To form a formidable team.
Which team?
Yeah?
Which
Murkomen.
team? Who's Murkomen?
Murkomen and the others. And implement long-term policies without the pressure of an immediate re-election campaign. He, listen to this very carefully, he also suggested that the 5-year cycle contributes to a continuous campaign mood in the country, which makes elections do or die adventure and leads to loss of full year to a campaigning and another to post-election litigation. So he's claiming that the first year, the last year is lost right? The last year is lost. So President Ruto's last year in office would be lost to presidential campaigns. And then in the first year, there is a litigation. And whether he should be president or not. So essentially, he only has 3 years to do his work. If we were to give 1 year for litigation and another 1 year at the tail end for campaigns, then we will have the 5 that we need for work, for serious work. Yes, go ahead.
So he's lying. You don't need 1 year for litigation because it's clearly spelled in the Constitution that once a presidential petition is filed on the presidential election results, it takes a maximum of 14 days and a decision is given, is rendered. So 14 days. If 14 days looks like 1 year to Cherargei, then he's wrong and he's misleading the country. That's why I said he doesn't treason. 2, if he wants to say that the last year is spent on campaign, that's also false. We are a democracy. We are always trying to campaign anyway. What we should have done is say, can we change the manner in which we do the elections? Instead of having all these elections one time in 2027 or one time after every 5 years, can we stratify them? Like the American system, can we have the MPs, for example, and the MCS elected within 2 years, like senators? Why do we have senators having 5 years? Why? A senator should serve 2 years. Then an election is done. Another 2 years.
It's expensive.
What is the expense?
It would be expensive.
What is the expense?
The people.
No, it is expensive because we want to behave like this thing cannot be cheap. If we can trust, for example, Jagero, the bank with our money, and transact online, you want to tell us we cannot vote online? We cannot facilitate voting online, or even voting via mail. We collapse the institutions which could help us facilitate this thing very easily, like Posta, okay? That could take mails, vote by mails, and we elect senators after every 2 years. Because why do you want to wait a senator to serve for 5 years? Tell me.
Yeah, but why do we have to wait for a president to serve for 5 years?
Exactly. Exactly my point. A president should serve, for me, within 4 years and go.
Okay.
The systems in Kenya are working. What we need is a leader who does not become an autocrat. I don't know if Ruto, in his thinking of who he is, his perception of who he is, he sees himself as a leader or as a politician. Because at the presidential level, you are more of a leader than a politician. In my mother tongue and in your mother tongue, we say Jabura. Somebody who is a peacemaker. Okay? Somebody who listens. Somebody who brings people together. Somebody who gives opportunities for things to work. Somebody who does not seek to control. Because there's Rutophobia in this government and there's Rutophobia within politics. Ruto must decenter himself from that aspect of having full control of everything, that then he wants to extend even his term by proxy. Because Cherargei does not speak for himself, I doubt. If you look at him, he doesn't look like somebody who speaks for himself. He looks like somebody who's always sent.
What is his profile?
Cherargei is a very young man, of course older than me, but he doesn't have a name unto himself. No, you can't get where he's coming from and where he's going. Because at one time... Does he
speak at the Senate?
Yes, he speaks. And he speaks very funnily. And this is why I'm saying Cherargei is not his own man. If you look
What do you mean by funnily?
Funnily means that he's not consistent in terms of what is expected. He's consistent in terms of his dishonesty. For example, when Rigathi Gachagua was being impeached, Cherargei was right within Rigathi Gachagua's camp. He was the black duck amongst the chicks, the yellow chicks of Rigathi. He was the black duckling amongst them. I don't know if you get
side of Rigathi.
Yes, he was supporting Rigathi. Until when the vote came to be, he voted against Rigathi as much as he was against Rigathi's impeachment, I thought
this is a voting by a secret voting. How did you guys know?
It's declared. People know who voted for who. 56 people, even them, they declare. Even him, he said that he voted against Rigathi. Okay, but he was with Rigathi throughout in the media talking for Rigathi. But then finally he leaves Rigathi. It means he was sent to work with Rigathi. It's like Moses Kuria now working with Gachagua. It's the hate of distrust and political dishonesty that
is a mole.
Yeah, very big fat mole. In fact, he's a very big fat mole within the. So Nani is not a very straight guy, and he looks like a gun for hire. Because him and Mutude or Mutusi, what was his name? The guy who won, the one who took the bill to the petition of impeachment to Parliament. They're these guys who have no brain for their own, and they're assigned by somebody that you go and do this, go and do that. Yeah. So that's where it comes from. Yeah. So once we understand who is bringing, the messenger is very key whenever you're receiving a message. And the messenger here is Cherargei. If it was somebody like Mbadi, or let's say people in Parliament like Millie bringing such a bill, it will interest the county, it will capture the attention of the nation that someone like Millie is bringing such a bill to extend the presidential term limit because they are reformers or reformists. But if a Republican like Cherargei is bringing the bill, we know where it's coming from. And the way he's been moving, he looks like a gun for hire.
Why are you calling Cherargei a Republican?
He's a Republican. Do you know what Republican is and a Democrat? Republicans are majorly people who insist to promote some nationalistic tendencies of the country or remain within the conservative order of how things have been and perhaps even extend that conservative, something called ultra-conservatism, which is happening with something we talked about the other day called third wives, for example.
Republican is not unique to America.
No.
All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. Everybody says that there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So, what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things. Build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash. You know that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjigero.co.ke. And now, back to programming.
Let me look it up for you. Republicans, what it means. Republican meaning, so that we get it right. Okay? Here it says, Republican has two main layers of meaning depending on whether you are using it general politics science sense or the US format. I want to use it for the general political science sense. Being Republican means supporting or relating to a republic. A republic is a system of government where power rests with the people and their elected representatives. There is usually an elected head of state, president, not a hereditary monarch. Okay? Core ideas is popular sovereignty, rule of law, elected leadership, and civic virtue. These are, I will describe them in terms of the right and left as the right wingers. The right wingers. The left wingers, they're more for the institutions of power remaining. The right wingers are for institutions of power going away. They're against the institutions of order in the republic. So this Cherargei guy is a Republican because he observes this bit of election of leaders, etc., and conserving the institutions as they are. In fact, if there is need, we can extend the term of these institutions to go beyond what is conceived to be normal or to be significant.
So you can be called a Republican in any part of the world?
Of course. You can even be called a left-winger or a right-winger in any part of the world.
There's the public opinion and the public opposition about the same.
Yeah.
While stated arguments for the 7-year terms focus on stability and effectiveness, political observers have offered more critical analysis of the same. Like you are doing. Political commentator Martin Andati, for instance, suggested that the proposal was diversionary tactic.
Yeah.
Intended to distract Kenyans from more pressing issues such as struggling economy, rising fuel prices, and government over borrowing. This perspective frames the proposed amendment not as a genuine effort at reform, but as a political maneuver to shift the public conversation away from the government performance. There is this thing about government, that government can create small fires to distract from the bigger fire.
It's called paradigm shifting. It's a strategy in politics.
Yes, can you tell me a little bit about
that? So when we want to have a paradigm shift is when the government is faced with a scandal of a significant magnitude that is going to affect the popular opinion, the public opinion about them. They will then introduce another scandal that looks bigger, but it is an artificial scandal. Like for example, in the instance that, let's say we have the president being sick, that's a very big issue of national concern. Sick to the extent that he's bedridden, okay? I'm not saying he's sick, or I'm not imagining, because even imagining, is treasonous, yeah? This purely for purposes of analysis. So the president is sick and is bedridden, and we don't want, the state doesn't want to show that he's bedridden. What do? They will find a scandal somewhere, and they push the institutions to focus on the scandal and the media to focus there, because the people only think of what they are told to think, and that's the function of the media, to make you think of something. So they will introduce, for example, let's say a big bomb or a building collapsing somewhere. Like, let me tell you, when Boris Yeltsin was almost leaving power in Russia, USSR, and there was this mayor of St. Petersburg, okay, who, of course, you know who he is, yeah? Who had been an assistant of Yeltsin.
Putin.
Yes, Putin. When Yeltsin was very sure that he was going to endorse Putin to be the president of Russia, of the USSR, Putin did a whole documentary about himself. It's there online. And he occasioned the bombing of a whole building, a terrorist attack, and the building collapsed. And Putin was all over the media talking about how he was going to chase these people up to the toilets where they were going to be hidden. And he was becoming now the hero. Okay? Very artificial thing. And people died. But Putin came out as the big guy. And I remember telling you on this podcast, Jagero, that even in America, whenever they are nearing elections or whenever they're nearing regime changes across the world, they always introduce very funny wars. They just start attacking a country. Like the other day, Israel started attacking Qatar. You wonder what the hell is going on. Qatar has nothing to do with Israel. In any case, they're not fighting over anything. But it's just introduced. Once it is introduced, then the paradigm shifts. The focus shifts to that thing. You remember, just before the Chan competitions in Kenya, what were people talking about in Kenya?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? I can tell you, it was one term.
Yes, one term, yes.
One term was very strong. In fact, even Rigathi was rising with this one term chant. But the chant thing captured the attention of the nation. And everybody was dissuaded from one term to, and Ruto was now offering 1 million shillings per match. And you even went ahead to offer another million shillings for additional goals. And people were like, this guy, come on, 1 million. You remember we went with you to the pitch, and whenever a goal was almost scored, people were chanting 1 million. Okay?
Instead of one term.
Exactly, instead of one term. If you look at the Roman Empire even before, and in Italy to date, in Rome, if you go to Rome today, there is a whole stadium that was constructed where the powers that could bring the gladiators out and capture the attention of the masses and dissuade them from public ongoings. And they will bring prisoners to face very gigantic people or even animals. And that thrill, people have an animalistic instinct of some funny thrill that when they see something like football, then they're dissuaded. So, for example, if you look at Kenya also as well, I don't know if this was a paradigm shift, but I suspected that it was dissuading us from something. When Uhuru and Ruto were almost going to the ICC for their cases to be heard, there was a serious terrorist attack at Westgate. Do you remember? It was so huge that they had to write a letter to ICC and said that they're dealing with matters of national importance. And they were not able to show up. And it was true. It was all over the screen. It was all over BBC, CNN. Kenya is under attack. The president cannot leave.
He was the president.
Uhuru was the president. He cannot leave to go and listen to that case, to go and sit in that ICC thing. And the moment that he had to leave, there's another paradigm shift. What did he do? He then transferred power in something that the Constitution does not envision. He transferred power to the deputy president temporarily for 1 day. And Ruto actually even sat in President Uhuru's office. He even had the whole entourage of the president, the motorcades, the big bikes.
Where was he going?
Harambee House. When Uhuru was flying out, Uhuru flew out not as a president of Kenya, as a normal citizen, because he had transferred power. To who? To Ruto. So as people were focusing, remember, when Raila was campaigning in 2012, he was like, you cannot elect indictees to be our leaders. So Uhuru must not have wanted to go out as this president who was going to manage the country through Skype from The Hague. So to avoid this kind of thing, and Raila, of course, will have taken advantage and said, I told you guys, this guy is an indictee. You see, our president is going to ICC. He could be jailed. And of course, he could be jailed. But then what happened? A spectacle. That the deputy president could actually act as a true president. And the media, instead of following whatever was going on there, they swallowed the bait and were focusing on Ruto arriving in huge motorcade.
From where?
From his house in Karen, the deputy president's official residence back then.
He was going to Harambee House to do what?
Because Harambee House is the seat of the president, is the official office of the president. So he went and sat on Uhuru's chair, and the media focus on that.
And what was the media allowed to go in there?
Yes, they went in. It is there. It is there online.
What was he signing?
It was just signings, blank papers somewhere. The
proposal has been met with overwhelming public opposition, which ultimately led to its rejection by the Senate Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights. Public consultation on the bill revealed a profound and unequivocal disapproval, with 99.99% or more than 168,000 submissions received expressing strong rejection.
Yeah.
This public stance is consistent with broader survey data from Afrobarometer, which found that a strong majority of Kenyans, 86%, consistently endorsed the total limit for the presidency. The ruling UDA party's leadership also distanced itself from the bill, with the party secretary general stating that the president has sworn to respect and defend the constitution and that any changes would require a referendum. The Senate committee's rejection of the bill was also based on procedural consideration, noting that constitutional amendment require broad support for both the public and parliamentarians.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to take you back to other democracies around the world. Because this is
where a term limit has been extended.
No.
Okay.
Where they haven't. So I just want to read for you something here. There are others that do not even actually have term limits, but there is a reason. The architecture of a nation's executive branch, particularly the regulations governing the tenure of its head of government, is a critical determinant of its democratic health. Okay? This analysis begins by establishing a foundational distinction between parliamentary and presidential systems, as this structural difference is key to understanding the varying approaches to term limits globally. In parliamentary democracies such as Germany, Japan, and the United Kingdom, and even India, the head of government is prime minister.
Yes.
Who must maintain the confidence of the legislature to remain in power. So those are the MPs. Okay? This inherent conditionality serves as a continuous check on power, making a formal constitutional mandated term limit often unnecessary. Right? Conversely, in presidential term systems, the head of state is directly elected for a fixed term, and their removal is significantly more difficult, typically requiring an extraordinary process like impeachment. In the context of term limits are fundamental safeguard against the accumulation of power by a single individual. So there is an interesting survey that has happened. A survey of global constitutional frameworks reveals a typology of 5 different primary models for limiting executive tenure, each reflecting a distinct political philosophy and historical trajectory. The first model, and the most common in parliamentary systems, is the absence of any legal restriction on the number of terms a leader can serve. This is seen in Japan, it is seen in China, it is seen in India, Italy, and the United Kingdom, where a leader's longevity is tied to the ability to retain support within their party and parliament. The second model, a limitation on its consecutive terms, allows for indefinite re-election, but only after mandatory break from office, a system found in countries like Peru and Chile. The third model, and the most prevalent in established presidential democracies, imposes a fixed number of total terms, usually 2. This is the case in the United States. We can also see it in Albania, we see it in South Africa, we see it in Poland, where the constitutional provision is designed to prevent a leader from becoming a de facto monarch. There is also a variation to this. The fourth model limits the number of consecutive terms, but the count can reset. Okay? Effectively allowing for lifetime rule. This was notably the case in Russia before recent amendments, and remained the system in France and Germany. So then finally, the most restrictive model is the absolute ban on re-election, as seen in Mexico and the Republic of Korea, where a presidency is limited to a single term. Okay. Okay. So then we have the United States. Okay, the U.S. has a strict limit of 4 terms, formally codified by the 22nd Amendment in 1951.
Yeah.
This constitutional provision includes unique stipulation for a vice president who ascends to the presidency, allowing them to serve a maximum of 1 additional term if they complete more than 2 years of their predecessor's term. We have, of course, Germany and Japan, which are parliamentary democracies. Both nations operate with no formal term limits. We have China and India, also without formal term limits. This nation's head of government can serve indefinitely as long as they retain political and party support. In China, the recent removal of existing term limits President Xi in 2018 served as a clear signal of an incumbent consolidating power. The United Kingdom, we know the story, in, out.
Yeah, in, out every minute, with Lisa Truss serving 44 days.
Yes, Russia, with a constitution historically limited to presidential term of 2 consecutive terms. Vladimir Putin, in 2020, amended it and reset his term to count 0 and changed the limit to apply over a lifetime. In France, the president is limited to a fixed number of 2 consecutive 5-year terms. Mexico, the constitution prohibits a presidential from being re-elected, limiting them to a single 6-year term. And Kenya, the president is constitutionally limited to only 5-year terms. Once the 2
5-year terms.
Yes, and once you've done the 2, you cannot come back.
Yes. So I think we must then ask ourselves a very important question. Why are politicians and diapers changed?
Yes.
They're changed for the same reason. They become useless very soon as they're full. And the presidency or the president is also a politician at the end of the day. And he has to be changed just like diapers are being changed from children, because he serves his purpose within the first 5 years. In fact, 4 years is sufficient, as demonstrated by America, as much as it's a very mature democracy. We also pride ourselves as a 60-year-old democracy. In fact, a 63-year-old democracy. A 63-year-old man is not a young person.
Correct.
There are some things that he must have learned. As much as the mistakes he can still make in his 63-year age or 63-year-old time on Earth. So, desire of extending the term as is being propagated points to either of two issues. There is a constantly rising tendency within the East African community of authoritarianism. This has been witnessed by Museveni, who is the principal of authoritarianism. In fact, having himself emanated from the Fanon's theory of violence, which he studied on the front lines as he was doing his thesis, his master's thesis, with the Frelimo movement. I don't know if you remember the Frelimo movement in Mozambique. It exemplifies authoritarianism that moves towards autocracy. John Pombe Magufuli, the late of Tanzania, also exemplified this bit of authoritarianism where he was consolidating power to himself on a populist front. And during his time, that is when the opposition leader, who is called the Tanzanian opposition, Tundu Lissu, was shot and almost died and was flown to Nairobi for treatment. That stopped for a period of time, took a pause for a period of time, as Samia Suluhu Hassan was settling in. As she settled in, she became even more authoritarian than Magufuli, because as you've heard before, I've gone to Arusha severally, and just as you cross the border, all the thing you see around there is the adverts of Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. This was a year ago. You'd imagine the elections were the next day. There are no billboards for commercial activity. The billboards there are for Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Saying what?
Saying, Asante Mama. Mama, everywhere. It is Mama until you arrive in Arusha. It's just Mama. Like there's no economic activity going on here.
So people are bootlicking.
People are bootlicking. That is authoritarianism.
Palm licking.
Exactly, palm licking. Because she's moving now from, actually, palm licking is more safer than bootlicking. Because booty means many things.
Booty licking.
Anyway, yeah. So that has been also witnessed by her and the vyombo vya usalama, vyombo vya dola.
Vyombo vya dola?
Yeah, vyombo vya dola. Those are the instruments of power.
Vyombo vya dola?
Vyombo vya dola. Dollar, not dollar the money. Dollar in Tanzania means power. Vyombo vya dola.
Oh, vyombo vya dola.
Okay, so dollar, where we have the police, the military, etc., being used to then silence opposition, and even the institutions such as the Electoral Commission being used to silence opposition, even in terms of consenting to an election. You know, in Tanzania, you have to consent to the rules by signing before you enter an election. And it's been evident there that when Tundu Lissu refused to do that and called for reforms, he's now being charged for treason. He's in court for treason, which has a very heavy penalty, which is a death penalty. Okay? Kenya, under President Uhuru Kenyatta, saw this authoritarianism. Under Kibaki, authoritarianism took a break in Kenya. But it came back under Uhuru Kenyatta, especially under somebody called Karanja Kibicho, who was then the head of the Interior PS. He messed this country big time because we saw bodies being found floating in Yala and so many more being found in thickets, and very interesting stories of a man found with a woman. The woman is not even properly known, but the man is found with a woman. The story dies because, framing a man is very easy. Just say it's promiscuous, and that is, the story dies, okay? And under Ruto, it has been exemplified, not just in the form of, Uhuru was a little too brutal, but very targeted. But this one under Ruto has been quite non-discriminatory. It's almost everybody, because the boys and the Gen Zs go to the street, they're fired at. They're having a genuine conversation. They're saying, we only have a phone and handkerchief and water, but pop. Yeah, parliamentarians are told.
I think Ruto has decided that it's not working for him. So.
It was not working for him. Yeah, I'm happy you realize that. Now he's realized that actually this thing of authoritarianism is not working for him.
It's not working for him.
Yeah, and he chooses peace because he has tested violence, and he thought that peace through strength is the thing. Now he understands it's peace through talking. People are just human beings. You can talk to them. Yeah, so there's that growing tendency of authoritarianism and desire to stick in power. If you remember the speech of Museveni in 1986, as he was coming into Uganda, into Kampala, when they had just pushed out Obote from power, he made a very clean statement. And Ugandans, I don't know if they got it then, but it's time they then realized that Museveni indicated to them that was going to be around for a long time. In fact, he said, to the other formations in Uganda,
which are political parties?
Yes, political parties and Lord Resistance Army, etc. He said to them, for the other formations which are thinking of other alternatives of governance in Uganda, forget about it. NRM is going to be in power for a very long time. Very long time. At that moment, people thought NRM, the party, not NRM, the person.
The person.
But this was NRM, the person, President Museveni, who has always shifted goalposts. In fact, I remember in 2006, Museveni did tell Ugandans that he's only serving the last term. He's going for one more term, then he's going home. When it came to 2011, I remember Museveni again shifted the goalposts and he said to them, you know what? Now remove the age limit so the president can proceed limitless until when he dies. But initially it was 75. When he was almost hitting 75, it was removed. So now he's serving full. Now, recently, this is last year, 2024 and 2025, he has done something that is very crazy, which is saying that you can actually be tried in a martial court. Do you know what a martial court means, Jagero? Yeah, it means that...
There are no lawyers there.
No, lawyers are there, but your decision doesn't matter as a lawyer because, military is order. They work by order. And even the court martial, works by order. So who is the commander-in-chief of the court martial? Is the president. And who is the head, or who is the CDF, the chief of defense forces in Uganda?
Him.
No, it's his son. Kainerugaba Muhoozi. Okay, so the family...
The madman.
The madman. So they can sit and decide that in that particular case, that case number 223 of 2024, where Besigye, Canon Besigye, has been accused of sitting with some mercenaries in Nairobi Riverside. It was a canon. When he left Nairobi to go and join Museveni in the bush, it was actually a canon. Yeah, he went and it was made a canon in the military, of course.
They still consider him
yes. No, once
a man of the mess.
Yeah, he's a man of the mess. Actually, he's a man of the mess because military. Yeah, that's what they're like. No, you know what? Even if you want to say that you're a normal civilian, no, you're not a civilian.
No, you're not a civilian.
Yeah,
you're a man of the mess.
Yeah, you're a man of the mess. There's something we know about you.
You've eaten food at half price. We need to finish, bro.
Yeah.
We need to finish.
So, Museveni, and that is Kainerugaba's son, doing that gives Uganda the face of autocracy, or gives Uganda the face of authoritarianism. And I think that growing clamor for extended term in office is also creeping into Kenya. And perhaps, Jagero, it points at two things. One is the fear of ostracization when another person takes power. Perhaps the reason why Raila has never come to power. The fear of ostracization or victimization by the people in power. Two, it could also point to the paranoia that is within the ranks of the officers in power today. And as I've said, that gentleman, the Senator Cherargei, is not a man of himself. So he could be a poster boy for the operatives in government. Or also, it could be a ploy that there's something, a long-term goal that somebody has in power. I'm not saying the president. It could be somebody because the president is a foreman for the men in power. So the men in power could be having a long-term goal, including it could be some construction, it could be some long-term economic issue that serves the private interests first that they're pursuing. And so President Ruto then is extended for the term. Now, the reason as why this could not work is on the question of referendum. As much as the people are opposing it, Kenya saved itself in 2010 by passing that constitution. Because in that constitution, if we can go to it, Cherargei has shot himself in the foot by tying himself, saying that we can actually include even the governors and, the MCAs in this thing. Let me read for you what the constitution says. So, a proposed amendment to the constitution must be approved by a referendum if it relates to any of the following. This is Article 255. 1, supremacy of the constitution. That means if you want to introduce another law and say that the constitution is subservient, like for example, to say we are a religious state. So we are moving from secularism and we're either going Islam or we're going Christianity. We're saying it's a Christian state. Like Vatican is a Christian state, okay? The constitution comes second. Number 2, the territory of Kenya. So we've bombed Uganda and we want to take Migingo and we go up to maybe Busia, the side of Uganda. To change that to consider it Kenyan, you must go through a referendum. Number 3, sovereignty of the people. Remember, Kenyans, the people are the sovereign. But in Britain, the people are not the sovereign. The sovereign is the king. Okay? So if you want to change the question of the sovereignty of the people and transfer the sovereignty to the government and say sovereignty belongs or sits with the government and not the people of Kenya, it could be something small, but it could be something very huge. Number 4 is national values and principles of governance. This is Article 10. If you want to change this, you have to go for a referendum. Bill of Rights, you know the Bill of Rights? Right to health, right to life, all of that. Term of office of the president must go for a referendum. Okay? Independence. So there's no way that thing can just happen in Senate. Kenyans need to calm down. We got it.
Why is it in the Senate though?
Because it touches on, listen very well, there's here, governance. Anything that touches on devolution, any bill that touches on devolution must go to the Senate for consideration because the Senate is a guarantor of devolution. That's why it is there. Without the Senate, maybe devolution will not be there today. We will not have counties. Senate is the guarantor. And the sieve is that before you make any decision about, including bills, financial whatever, goes to the Senate. Number 7 is independence of the judiciary and commissions. If you want to change the independence of the judiciary, right, like BBI wanted to say that we're introducing an ombudsman. You remember that thing? The judiciary ombudsman. That means you are interfering with the independence of the judiciary. It had to go for a referendum. And that's why it was included in. And that's why the judiciary perhaps even opposed it. Okay? Number 8, functions of parliament. Remember, as at now, the functions of parliament are only what? 3. One is legislation.
Yes.
Representation and oversight. You've not had anywhere there where we've said development. Development is not a role of an MP. Development is the role of the national government, not the MP and the county government as well, but the executive ends of it. Lastly, the objects, principles, and structure of devolution.
Yes.
So Raila saying that we need to cascade down from 47 counties to 14 counties must go for a referendum, which will fail.
That is dangerous.
So all these things.
You'd rather give many governors money rather than giving one governor.
Exactly. So that is how it's going to go. And this bill, Kenya should just relax. It is going nowhere. You are too many. The power is in your hands. Nobody can force it down your throats because it has to go through a referendum. And we are happy, Jagger, that IEBC has come of age and is so integral so far that nobody can play around with it as much, even if they try. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much, people of the internet. You are welcome to give your opinion. You are welcome to comment and tell us some of the topics that you want us to talk about here. If you like the conversations and the crunching of numbers, the crunching of facts that we do here at Political Headache, remember we are having an event, a huge event in Kisumu called Face the Nation. We are going to be having at Baraza Media Lab in Kisumu. What is the name of the mall?
It's called Lake Basin Mall.
Lake Basin Mall. On the 26th of this month, starting at 2:30 p.m.
2:30 p.m.
You know, Diambo is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Ochoka is going to be there. Joaquim is going to be there. Kasmuel is going to be there. And many, many more. Yeah. So until another episode. And don't forget, please, to subscribe to this channel. So that, and also hit on that notification bell so that when there is something like this coming up, YouTube will notify you. Until another episode, bye for now.